Hold on. Wait. There we go. Okay.
We are.
Everybody dance with
Welcome to
me.
Read My Lips Radio.
Some days are
lively
just a
hour
little
of
more raw
unscripted
than others.
Conversations with savvy creatives. Producer and host, aka Radio Red, asks novelists, artists, photographers, designers, comedians,
We are
actors,
live.
musicians, composers, screenwriters, directors, and technology innovators about their creative passion, inspirational muses, and how they create. Ooh, how those lips can talk. Now, here's AKA Radio Red.
Thank you to the voice of Ryan Treasure, who always gets me on the air on Mondays. I'm AKA Radio Red. Happy to be here. I hope everybody had I like to say, a gratitude stuffed Thanksgiving, wherever you are. We've got one from Canada here. We've got one from Israel here. Melody, where are you located?
I am in Arkansas.
Okay, and
It
I'm in
was-
Tennessee. We got two U.S. girls, and we got a Canadian, and we got an Israeli. So we're doing the whole global, universal thing here. So if whatever you celebrated, if you're giving thanks, I'm giving thanks for all of you being here. It is December 1st. What? It's the 335th day of 2025 of the Gregorian calendar. I don't know if you all know, but Julian had a calendar that didn't work too well because people who had birthdays in the beginning of October didn't get to have their birthday because he forgot about them a couple times a year, a couple of years a century. So Gregorian came along and he said, Mom, I'm not a pope yet, but I decided to be a real creative guy. I'm going to scrap the Julian calendar and I'm going to come up with a Gregorian calendar and I'm going to have something called a leap year. And every fourth year I'll add one day and we'll bring back all those October birthdays. And he did. And that's why we're grateful for the Gregorian calendar. There we go. 30 days left. I like to tell everybody, hey, if you're preparing something good to drink on New Year's Eve, I don't care if it's alcoholic or not, but if anybody here is planning to get their grandfather's still out from behind the garage and make some what used to be bootleg whiskey, Lexi's smiling. I think Lexi might be the one. You get that still out. You got 30 days, Lexi. Paula, I have a feeling you're going to be making homemade Kahlua. So I want to make sure you have time for all those flavors to blend. You go in the garage, you know, you're going to use that sink and you're going to put all the flavors in. I'll be over New Year's Eve and Melody, I have a feeling you're looking for a very beautiful bottle of champagne, some kind of bubbly, maybe an Asti. And Melody, the shelves are going to be empty very soon online on all of the stores that sell that. So you got to go shopping right after the show today. Ladies, on the count of three, I want you to join me in saying hello to LLL, our good friend. So on the count of three, we're going to say hello, LLL. One, two, three. Hello,
Hello.
L, L,
L.
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 Jordan Henson, our engineer for the Voice America Media Empowerment Channel. Jordan, would you please put them down for tied for second place in best orchestrated, best in sync LLLs? LLL is lovely, lanky Laura Legs, our most loyal listener. She hasn't been feeling well, but when she gets around to it, she'll listen, and I know she'll enjoy the show. She's been doing this for years. Just want to tell you all that today in 1958, Life magazine was the first major publication to use the phrase teen idol because on the cover was a budding new rock star named Ricky Nelson. Seriously, ladies, 1958. And that's the day that Neil Sedaka signed up to become a solo artist with RCA Records. That's all I can tell you. But I have one more thing to tell you besides it's Bette Midler's birthday. She's 80. It's Zoe Kravitz's birthday. She's 37. Sarah Silverman, the comedian, 55. And Janelle Monáe, the wonderful singer and rapper and actress, is 40. But in 1997, you've all heard of Kenny G, the clarinetist? Yes. Kenny G set the Guinness World Record this day, 1997, for the longest note held on a wind instrument when he kept going for 45 minutes and 47 seconds. Lexi, that's quite amazing. We need to do something about that. In 2017, a Nigerian, I guess it was a clarinet player, Femi Kuti, broke the record at 51 minutes and 35 seconds. Oh my goodness gracious, what can I tell you? Today is National Pie Day. It's Eat a Red Apple Day. I'm allergic to apples, so you can have mine. I'll have a red pear. It's National Peppermint Bark Day, and William Sonoma takes credit for inventing peppermint bark in 1998. So there, and it's National Cookie Cutter Day, which used to be made of wood and now tin and then plastic. And you can actually find manufacturers who will make cookie cutters to any shape that you want. I don't know what it costs, but they will. So there you go. Do we have any December Sagittarius birthdays here?
It's my
Paula?
husband's birthday today.
Well, happy birthday. Melody, when's your birthday?
June 8th.
June 8th. We'll have to come back and get you back on again. Paula, when's your birthday?
October 19th.
That's right. And I'm October 7th. And Lexi, when's yours?
September 26th. So I'm a Libra.
You're
Oh,
Libra. We got 3
Libra.
Libras here.
Yeah,
Libras
all the old
Melody,
folk.
we love you anyway, but there's 3 Libras. We're Libras rock. Happy
We're very
birthday.
well balanced. Yes.
I like to tell people I'm fair, but not so balanced. Lexi, how is your husband celebrating his birthday? Anything special?
Well, he's home today. So we are expecting a home inspector because we're selling our house. So he gets to deal with that. So not quite festive, but
Well, you can toast him and tell him that Radio Red says happy birthday. And he has
I
new
will.
friends. Paula and Melody are his new best friends, and they're all wishing him. So, ladies, I have a special welcome for all of you. And when I say your name, I want you to just wave and smile. So here we go. Welcome to the Creativity Show, where stories ignite. Radio Red on her Scarlet mic is leading the live stream bright. The range of creativity. That's our episode today. And Paula, you know why I put that word in there. The range of creativity takes the stage today, where wisdom and wonder are lighting the way. Here we go. This is a special gift for you. Paula B. Adelman. From Bronx Riverdale roots with a lively home crew, 3 older brothers shaped the sports Paula grew to pursue. Baseball cards, Yankee dreams, mantles, magic in her sight. She was a math-loving tomboy traveler with her eye on life's light. Inspired by Golda Meir, Paula braved Israel's sun. A kibbutz, new purpose, her independence had begun. Sports became her calling. Paula. Tennis, swimming, golf she would claim. A University of Florida graduate, she played the long game. A 2-sport teaching pro, LPGA and USPTA star standing strong. Paula broke through barriers that insisted women simply didn't belong. Her overnight golf pro story in Wake Up Follow Your Passion shares that fight. Paula built Israel's first, we'll talk about this, golf range at Wingate with courage and creative might. Paula, I hope you enjoyed that.
Oh, that was fantastic. Wow.
I'm glad. We're staying up at midnight in Israel to be on the show for that, right? There
That
you
was
go.
great.
I'm glad. And now Melody Miller-Mann, an Army brat who moved 12 times before her 18th year. Melody learned resilience early and made creativity her own frontier. Art was her compass, guiding through every brand new place. A University of Texas grad with journalism and design as her home base. She traveled 40 countries in a year on a shoestring fare, led Galilee horseback tours on sunlight trails in desert air. Nursing called, Melody, ER intensity, her new skill and her pride. Her ICU newsletter reached 60,000 hearts, so far and so wide. Melody homeschooled 3 daughters, then roamed the states in her RV, a 7-year wandering spirit. She learned to live bold and live free. Widowed by COVID, she found new love in life's next chapter renewed. Her memoir, Truth Found Me, proves coincidence can't outshine a soul so true. Melody, I hope you enjoyed that.
You're so good at that. I'm amazed.
I had a little help, I'll tell you later. And Lexi is here. I know Lexi well. She's been on my other shows with me, from Burlington Beginnings, where art and science intertwined. Lexi grew up with microscopes and sketchbooks shaping her mind. Religion, art, biology, her earliest sparks of light. A swimmer, a lifeguard, a seeker of meaning and insight. She earned degrees in plant science from bachelor's to PhD, capturing glowing proteins in cells for all the world to see. But STEM's rising pressure dimmed the joy she used to feel until creative play and mindfulness began Lexi's path to heal. Now a creative wellness coach, she helps STEM women exhale with science and art-inspired tools, bridges, traffic lights, mindfulness trail. Through coaching, through writing in her studio, she helps purpose rise anew. Lexi guides stressed women to reclaim their clarity true. Lexi?
That was amazing. Thank you.
Good. I've done this for you before. Big,
I
big.
know it's always slightly different. So
Always,
that's
always
terrific.
different. That's right. So gather around where the cool vibes and the cool kids sway as we dive deep into creativity today. AKA Radio Red's energy is lighting the way. We hope to inspire you to live large, love life, and play. So, ladies,
right.
what'd you think? Pretty cool?
Fantastic.
Very
Awesome.
So
cool.
creative.
I'm
It's
very, very well. This is a
Amazing.
creativity show. I've gotta live the dream here, live the theme. So, what I'd like to do is just go around the table briefly and have each of you fill in. Come on, with 12 lines, I couldn't possibly describe your whole life and your whole path. So, just tell us a little bit more. Paula, we need a course correction on the golf thing. And I'm sorry if we got that wrong, but
no,
it's
it was close enough. It was no,
good. Okay, good.
yeah.
So, Paula, tell us a little more about who you are. Just take about 2 or 3 minutes. I'm going to put you on speaker view so everybody can see you. And everybody, it's after midnight where she is in Israel. So we have to be really nice to her. Stay awake, Paula. Okay, Paula, I'm putting you on speaker view. Tell us a little more,
Okay.
please. And welcome.
Well, thank you. Well, I started as a swimmer in the Bronx, New York. I won the Bronx Championships, so I was on my way to doing my sports, shall we say, career, and was asked to train for the Olympics, but my father wouldn't let me because I was one of the youngest of 6 kids, and my mother couldn't take me to the practices. So anyway, 20-something years later, I decided to compete in the Maccabi Games in Israel. And I won 7 medals, so that kind of made me feel like I did my Olympic dream. So that was my swimming, which I'm still swimming and still competing in Israel now. And but then I switched to tennis, and spent many years. I was on the Avon Futures Tour and a lot of experiences in the tennis world, until I hurt my back and had a back operation and a divorce back in 1989, 87, 88, whatever it was. And that was in the States. And then I decided, and I had 2 kids, and I had physical custody of them, and I decided to take them back to Israel. And so we went back and we lived on a kibbutz. My kids were raised in the early years on a kibbutz, which is a big collective family, shall we say. And I decided I was teaching tennis, but I decided I needed a new sport to play since my back operation couldn't play tennis. So then I went to the golf course to try to learn how to play golf, and they were having a pro-am that day, and there was a guy standing there, and I just started talking to him. He says he was there for a pro-am, and he was one of the professionals. I said, I'd like to learn. He said, well, I'm giving a kids clinic. Would you mind coming if you want, you can come to the driving range. So I went to the driving range, and he asked me a question about tennis. And then he said, the head pro came over after the clinic and said, would you mind hitting some golf balls? And I said, well, I don't play golf. He said, that's okay. Just hit a few balls, hit about 10 balls. He says, how would you like to teach with me? And I said, teach what? And he said, teach golf. I said, but I don't play golf. And he said, well, that's okay. I said, I have 2 kids, they're 7 and 9. And he said, that's all right. You'll be teaching the clinics and you'll be my assistant. And I'll teach you to teach and teach you to play. And I said, I have to go back to the States in the summer. I said, that's all right. You come back in September, you're my assistant. And I thought, no, this can't be real. I'm 40 years old, and you're going to become a golf pro just because you were a tennis pro. And I came back, and that's what happened. And then 2 weeks later, they have every Friday they have the competitions, fun competitions. And they said, hurry up, we need a 4th for this group. I'd never played a tournament. And I thought, uh-oh. And the guy said, you want to ride with me? I said, everybody walked in. I said, no, that's okay. I'll walk. And I see a cart following us. I thought, oh, they keep score for you in golf. I didn't know anything. And get to the end, when the one guy did know of the foursome, I said, what's my partner's name? He says, just call him Mr. President. I was fixed up with the president of Israel, Chaim Herzog, and he's the one that asked me to ride with him, and I rejected him. But 17th hole, we're walking up. He said, Paula, how would you like to be part of our regular foursome? Because Thomas Friedman just left the country after riding from Beirut to Jerusalem.
That's Thomas L. Friedman, the one who writes for...
That is Thomas Friedman. And I'm still looking to meet him or say thank you to him, because every Friday I was playing with the president and the most famous law firm in Israel is Herzog, Fox, and Neyman, and Herzog and Fox were 2 of the 4 of us. I was like this stuff doesn't happen really to people.
It
Well,
did.
it happened to me. So that's my sports background. And I raised two kids and they got to play golf from the time they were 7 and 9. And they're very good golfers. And I think they're probably listening to this. They're probably
What a
on that.
wonderful. Well, we got 2 people watching on YouTube right now. That's probably your kids. Hello to Paula's kids. Paula, what a fascinating story. You are a living proof of, Lexi's heard me say this. I think I said this when Lexi was on my Saucy Dame show. How do I, when younger people, younger women mentor me and say, what should I do with my life? And I say, if you see a little window open, just a little bit, a crack in the window, open the damn window and see what's on the other side. If that door isn't quite shut, shove the door open and see what's there. It could be a new opportunity, a new skill. It could be new people. It could be new something that will let you take your life in a surprising new direction.
Unbelievable. Yes.
Yeah, beautiful story. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. And now we're going to go around the table to Melody Miller. Man, Melody, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm putting you on speaker view. Let's hear a little more about you, please. Welcome.
Thank you. Do I have to unmute myself or
You
I'm
are,
on?
you're on, you're fine. We just need you a little bit
Yay.
louder, a little bit louder. Go ahead.
Yay. It just thrills my heart that Paula is living in Israel. That is my heartbeat because this truth found me is my travels. And it's been 3 times now to Israel. I love Israel. It's number 1 in my heart. I love Israel. I love the music. I love the people. I just love Israel. I lived on kibbutz as well, 2 different kibbutzim,
Me
and
too.
one to learn Hebrew. Kibbutz Mishmar Emek, and I loved that. That was just right down from Solomon Stables on the Megiddo Plain. I loved it. I loved it.
This is
And
such a surprise. This was
Oh,
not
wow.
planned. This was,
No idea.
that's why I love this show. People talk to each other. Go ahead, Melody. We want to hear a little more about your story. Go ahead.
well, how I ended up on that first trip, and that was 1973. Is I had finished college, University of Texas. I got a degree in journalism because nobody talked to me about what I was supposed to do. I hate to write. And no one talked about me, what I was planning. And my senior year, he said, what do you want to do? I said, well, you know what? I just can't pass any more Spanish. I burned that bridge, and I don't want to be a nurse or a secretary or a teacher. My last name at the time was Rumpf. I didn't want a bunch of little knotheads calling me Miss Rumpf. So I just thought, well, I'm going to have a career. And I got a degree in journalism, went into art and advertising because that's where I could actually draw pictures. I just wanted to stay in art, and that was graphic arts. And it wasn't too long into that little career, just a few months, maybe a couple of months, and that hand, it started coming up my leg between I was like, hey, this is not part of the deal. It's like I was the first Me Too. This is an inaugural member right here. Way back when, and I had promised to stay with him as art director for the advertising agency for a year. And I did, but then when I kept turning him away, he started interviewing other people. And guess what? I got fired. That was a wonderful open door. I went straight to the post office and applied for my passport. You never know what the next turn. It was like, turn the page, next chapter. Okay, hey, let's have this one. This will be fun. And so I flew to Europe. It was like $300 round trip ticket. That was in the day, and $250 3-month Eurail pass. And that put me up on a lot of nights to sleep and a lot of places to go. And so for all that time, I was just traveling and having adventure, and it was fun. And I was 23, and this was just wonderful. And I was really glad I had gotten fired. And you just never know what a bad, I was like, this really isn't going to show up real good on the career ladder, but you know what? Hey, we having a good time. So that's kind of where I ended up in Israel. Surprise, it's like you don't read the newspapers when you're in that kind of mode, traveling 40 countries on $1,200 in 12 months. And I flew to Israel to go south. And guess what was on? The Yom Kippur War. I didn't even know it.
Oh, wow. You were there for the Yom Kippur.
Anyway, I was working in the banana fields at the kibbutz, right at the base of the Golan Heights. We could hear the bombs. We could hear the shelling. But hey, you get used to it, right?
Oh, that's amazing.
So anyway, I stayed there for 6 months. You had to commit. I went 6 months to have my toothbrush in one place. That's huge. That's long.
It's the old
You know
pond.
what? I think I think my quote for you was climb every mountain. You said have a quote from a movie.
Yeah, we'll get to that part later. Don't talk about it now. That's a whole other segment. Go ahead.
That's in my travels because I was supposed to, hitchhike with another girl from Israel to England at the very end. And you know what? At the last day before we're going, she said, I'm going to give up my ticket and I'm just going to stay here. I've fallen in love and I'm not going to go. I'm like, what am I going to do? Well, guess what? I flew to Turkey and I hitchhiked across Turkey and Bulgaria and Romania and Hungary, and then across Europe. And then I finally got to England and Wales and Ireland and Scotland. And I just kept traveling.
That's amazing.
And here you are. Well, and I met you at the National Publicity Summit online about 2 months ago. I met you and Paula, and I said, you got to come on my show, right? And here you are. Melody, thank you so much. That's
Well, I put all the specifics right there in my book.
quite
And
a
it hasn't been released yet, but soon.
I
about
know. Well,
2
we're
weeks.
excited
Oh.
for your book. That's quite an interesting title. A Life Too Wild to Be Coincidence. Very,
really
very
true.
clever title. Looking forward. You're going to send me an ebook when it comes out. Thank you. And let's go to Lexi Reed. Lexi has an also very, very interesting story. Lexi, you're on. You and I know each other. You've been on one or two of my other shows, and I'm so happy.
Two, I
you're here.
think. Yes.
Two,
that's
yes,
right.
and
This
I'm
is number
so-
3. Lucky
There
number
you
3.
go. I keep inviting her back. I don't know what the problem is. No, Lexi is a bright light and very, very interesting lady. And I did not meet her at the Publicity Summit. I met her through podcastguest.com. She pitched me.
I
So
pitched you. I
I'm
know.
happy to introduce you to Paula and Melody. Lexi, why don't you give us the scoop? What did I miss in my 12-line opening? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, you touched on the science and art aspect. So that was definitely, I've always been an artist ever since I was a little kid. But my parents said when I was looking at university, it's like, I really think you should look at the science side of things, maybe get a real job. So, so I liked biology. I started doing molecular biology and decided that I really didn't like working with fruit flies because that was the introductory lab, genetics 101. You play with fruit flies. Wasn't my thing. We had a unit with plants. I'm like, I like plants. I can work with plants. And so, I did a master's, did a PhD, did a postdoc. And the thing with research is they call it research for a reason because you redo it a lot. So I got tired of rerunning experiments and, it's always about proving your results. And so I came back to doing art once my kids were probably beginning school age, daycare, school age, because I finally had a bit of breathing space for myself. Up until then, art was kind of, a daydream. But I took a workshop, fell in love again with doing art, and started carving time out for myself. And that kind of is the theme now, carving out time for yourself, giving permission to yourself to be creative. Because, I worked in very high pressure jobs. I went from the day job of being an academic researcher to working for a not-for-profit, to working for the federal government, to working for a corporate entity that did medical devices. And so again, we won a contract during COVID to build emergency ventilators. And so it was all hands on deck. And that's when I experienced burnout. Didn't know what it was called. It wasn't until I kind of started looking into art therapy and coaching to kind of find myself again. As you can see my background, I've got a beautiful art studio, which I'm super lucky to have. But during that time period, I couldn't make art. I went into my studio. I was creatively blocked. And it's because I was pouring all my energy into my job and my kids and life. And so, and now the women I work with are exactly the same women in STEM. So science, technology, engineering, and math. And they are super women. We know we're super women. We deal with, all the invisible labor of caring for kids, caring for elderly parents, running the household, doing the job. And a lot of these women are working in very male dominated industries. And so they have to bottle up a lot of things like their intuition and their emotions, and they don't have an outlet for it. And so I developed a program called the Creative Reset Program, which is what I was pitching to Radio Red. And it's a way for women to experience play again, and take the pressure out of creating, quote, fine art. This is all about the process, even if it's just doodling a little gingerbread figure with colors to show how you're feeling and where stress is showing up. And so I like that.
This is a set of pieces of Dove wrappers from Dove Candy, and I put them on a piece of cardstock, and I used balloons with little purple acrylic paint and made little flowers. They look like pansies, and I glued the pieces on, and Lexi, it turned into a wabbit. And this is one of my collages I did about 2 years ago. Is like I just had to show that to you.
I love it. See, and it's all about play and just experimenting.
If this isn't play, I don't know what is. Can you all see that?
Exactly.
Is that something? Yeah, I just happened to grab that. I've got 300 paintings here, by the way. I happened to grab it, and I said, there's a reason I grabbed it because of Lexi. Okay, Lexi, keep talking. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm working with women through this program. We worked individually. So I've done sort of the deep dive coaching one-on-one, and I've also started a group program because sometimes women want to share individually, go a bit deeper and share things. And other people really like the sharing in a group and connecting with other women and finding there's a lot of aha moments of, oh, you felt that too. I thought it was just me. So I do both. I do both one-on-one coaching and group coaching, and all about bringing creativity back and letting go a bit of that stress and avoiding burnout. So and that's why I call it being a creative wellness coach. So it's not an art therapist. More about being proactive about bringing creativity so you don't hit that burnout side of things, and just giving yourself permission to play.
Thank you.
Part of
and
it.
That's why we're here, and this is our new group therapy.
There you go. Yes, we can share together.
Yeah, we can all share. We're all in group therapy today. I never thought of my creativity show, but something, when we get into these conversations, and we'll do more around the table as the show goes on, later when we do the creativity statements, we end up talking among ourselves, with each other, and to ourselves about what creativity means to us and how our little things that we do. If we're a painter, do we paint at night? Do we play music? If you're a writer, do you write at a certain season, indoors, outdoors, in a coffee shop? What inspires you? Is it people? Is it flowers? Is it music? Is it going to a museum? All of these things are the things that I think we keep close to ourselves, but sometimes we find out that we share those with other people. And it's always, to me, enlightening. It's always exciting to find that these conversations around. That's why I do this show. As Lexi was on my 2 other one-on-one shows, but this is Lexi. Welcome to my roundtable show. I wanted to bring you into this, and I'm just delighted. I'm not going to say amazed. I think that's an incredibly overused word. Oh, it's amazing. Oh, all right. You're all amazing. That's fine. But I find it so intriguing to have, and I talk on one of my other shows about what's your creativity superpower. Mine is I get people to talk to me. And so I'm so delighted to meet the 3 of you here in my space. Lexi, this is my studio. This is my creative space, and have you share with each other. I'm looking at the expressions on your faces. Melody saying, what? And Paula saying, what? Lexi saying, what? Because all of a sudden you're 3 women who met, 2 of you by happenstance, and all of you met me one way or the other, right? 2 minutes each, 2 minutes with Melody, 2 minutes with Paula, and Lexi, I know better. But my point is that we're here for a reason. And okay, Melody, this is too wild to be a coincidence that the 4 of us are here. I'm going to steal from your title of your book.
There you go.
There you go. Okay, ladies, let's go on to this. Thank you all for the additional bio information. I appreciate that. I've asked each of you to send me a fictional quote, either a song lyric or a song title, or a quote from a movie or a TV show from a fictional character. People say, why can't I quote Gandhi? Why can't I quote Winston Churchill? Why can't I quote Einstein or Mark Twain? Because they're were real people. We're going to do the fictional part. So Paula has sent us a quote. It's a very popular song from way back when, The Impossible Dream, and the part of the other title is The Quest. It's a popular song composed by Mitch Leigh, Leigh, lyrics written by Joe Darian. It was written for the 1965 Broadway musical Man of La Mancha. and is featured in the 1972 film starring Peter O'Toole. It is the complete song was first sung by Don Quixote as he stands vigil over his armor in response to Aldon's Dulcinea's question about what he means by following the quest. Boy, could you have picked a quote better for following the quest? Isn't that what we're all talking about right now? The quest of, I don't know, this is just working incredibly. Okay, I'm going to stop there and I'm going to ask you, oh, wait a minute. I have to tell you, Paula, Richard Kiley sang it in the original 1965 Broadway production. In 1967, The Temptations sang it on one of their albums. 67, Shirley Bassey sang it. Diana Ross and the Supremes and The Temptations did it together in 68. In 68, Glenn Campbell sang it. In 68, Andy Williams sang it. Cher sang it. Roberta Flack sang it. Tom Jones sang it. Elvis Presley sang it. John Cleese and the Muppets sang it on The Muppet Show. Cynthia Erivo performed it at the 2016 Kennedy Center Honors, and Josh Groban sang it on his album Harmony. I had to tell you, I did my research.
That's amazing.
It is quite a. So I'm going to go back to you now, Paula. I want you to tell us, take about 2 or 3 minutes and tell us what this has to do with your experiences with creativity. Paula, go ahead.
Well, I sang it today, walking along the Mediterranean with my walk today, singing that song. It is my go-to song for my life, and it's overcoming obstacles and going for it and having the passion, developing the passion and not letting things get in the way, even though things do get in the way, overcoming them. And I feel that that's pretty much how I've dealt with things, being a female and a male, always being in the sports and always having to overcome. In fact, with the golf thing, I was told by my head pro at Caesarea that I could never be the head pro, even though they wanted me to be, because I could be Amy Alcott, the best women golfer at the time. You wouldn't get the job. And then he said, but I'll give you the recommendation to go and do the Range and Learning Center that they've never had. It was the first Range and Learning Center in Israel. So that was just one of the overcoming things. And it was like, each time when you can't, well, I just go, well, if I want to do something, I'm going to do it. And Superman t-shirt was my, I grew up in that, I wasn't wearing a lot of dresses at the time. I just, I was kicked off the boys' little league. I was on the little league for a while, first girl in New York. But I just, I found that that song, when I heard it, and I went to see Mano La Mancha in New York City back in the 60s, and I was like so inspired thinking, oh, that's my life. I just keep looking at these things and their opportunities that I just fall in love with, okay, I'm not like trying to be a golf pro. I'm just trying to learn the game. But, you can overcome things, back operations and things like that, if you just put one foot in front of the other and you just believe in yourself. And a lot of these things, I think, have come from my attitude that I can do it, and I feel very comfortable with it. And it's been an enjoyable life. Yeah.
That's lovely. And also giving yourself permission to do it, right? You not only said I can, but you said, I'm going to give myself the green light to try this, to do this.
Yeah.
I think that's what all of us, each of us, have done in our lives. That's what I'm hearing there. The green light wasn't quite on, and we just turned on and said, what the heck? I may be a girl. I may be a woman. This may be a man's field. I'm going to do what I think I need to do, I want to do, and I can do. There you go.
Yeah. And you know what? And it's also my oldest brother said to me when I was pretty young, he said, Paula, don't ever lose to a boy if you can beat him. And I was always, I was really, as a youngster, I was just as good as the boys in any, all the sports things.
Of course you were.
Thing of my brother, like even came to my swim meets with his girlfriends, to watch my swim meets. So it was, there was a lot of positive stuff.
Breaking barriers, haven't we each? Haven't we all? And it feels good. Okay, let's go to Melody Miller-Mann, and Melody's quote is from a song, an actress played by Peggy. Peggy Wood was the actress, and the character is Mother Abbess in the Abbey, The Sound of Music, 1965 musical drama film. I want to say dramedy because there was a little fun stuff in there, but there was a lot of serious stuff. Produced and directed by Robert Wiseman, a screenplay written by Ernest Lehman, based on the 1959 stage musical composed by Richard Rodgers, lyrics by Oscar Hammerstein II, book by Lindsay and Krauss, based go on and on and on, the memoir of the family of the Trapp singers by Maria von Trapp. Peggy Wood received an Academy Award and a Golden Globe for the nomination for her role. However, Her singing voice, Melody, you probably know this. Peggy Wood was not singing. I remember the actress Peggy Wood. It was dubbed by Marjorie with a G, Margery Mackay, Mackay, for the song Climb Every Mountain, as Wood at 73 felt she could no longer sing the part. The AFI listed it as the 55th greatest American film of all time and the 40th greatest film musical. There we go. 5 Academy Awards. The song that Melody has picked is Climb Every Mountain, ford every stream, follow every rainbow, till you find your dream. I'm gonna cry. I've got goosebumps. Rescue me, Melody. How'd you pick this one? What does it have to do with you? Go ahead.
Well, that was my travels. I mean, it's like I got to Zermatt, Switzerland. I mean, I did all kinds of different stuff, but in Zermatt, it was raining down in Zermatt. But I thought it's July, but I am going to ski the Matterhorn. Then I can always say I skied the Matterhorn in July. Well, you know what happened? It took like 7 gondolas and I don't know, some pony lifts and some chair lifts to get to the top. And it was blinding snowstorm at the top. I didn't have any glasses, but I thought I'm going to ski it. Well, around about 1 o'clock, they said everybody has to vacate the mountain. It's too dangerous up here. You need to go down the Italian side. I have come up the Swiss side. My stuff, my shoes are at the bottom of the gondola in Switzerland. My passport, my money, my purse, everything is in Switzerland. I can't go down Italy. So I found one other girl that at least if we were going to fall into a crevasse, which is what they said would happen, if you go down the Swiss side, you're going to fall into a crevasse and get lost forever. Well, we decided just to side slip all the way down the mountain. That's a lot of mountain to side slip underneath the pony lift and the chair lift and the gondola lifts and everything down to the bottom. And it was sunny and bright and beautiful and warm in July in Switzerland when we got down there. And I lived to tell about it. Yay.
Climb every mountain. Wow. That was perfect. That literally, right? Literally. Well, I'm glad you made it up and I'm glad you made
following my dream. And I just, just traveled, just kept traveling and traveling. And I mean, everything came against me. I was assaulted a couple of times in Spain. Even in a bus, I was riding a regular bus in Madrid, and evidently everybody in the bus got off. I was looking out the window. He locked the doors and he came after me. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So I got out of that. You have to read the book to find out. And but you know what? I just had to reread through my book twice in the last week because we're doing the formatting. And, I kept using the phrase, Dorothy, you're not in Kansas anymore.
Toto, we're not in Kansas anymore, right? Dorothy Gale, 1939, Wizard of Oz, Judy Garland. Great line. You've got so many lines from movies and songs you could apply. You all do.
I arrived in Paris and I was in this just real near Notre Dame. There's a motel there, hotel, 11 stories. I mean, it's like, and I was up there and I walked in the room and she said the bathroom's down the hall. But there's a toilet in the middle of the room. I'm like, what in the world is this for? Well, that was a learning curve. I failed.
Okay. Okay.
That was just one time when I got even just arrived in Luxembourg with my ticket. I mean, I flew from the States to Luxembourg. And they didn't have at that time pictures on the bathrooms. They only had names, words. I didn't know if I was a heron or a doll. I know now.
Thank you, Melody. We could spend, we'll talk after. Okay, I'm going to go on to Lexi's quote. Lexi has picked a quote from Lydia Dietz, played by Winona Ryder. We're going much more modern. My goodness, 1988 from Beetlejuice, the 1988 gothic horror comedy film directed by Tim Burton, screenplay by Michael McDowell and Warren Scarron, based on a story by McDowell and Larry Wilson, and the 24 sequel, Beetlejuice. Lydia Dietz, teenager, fascinated by the supernatural, embraces her own peculiar nature, contrasting with the ordinary living characters in the film. I'll just leave this alone. And she was played by, as I said, Winona Ryder, lovely actress. And here is the line. Lexi, you're really going to have to talk to us about this one. Lexi's line is, I myself am strange and unusual. Okay, Lexi, what you got? Tell us. The ladies can't wait for this. Go ahead.
I remember going to see Beetlejuice in the theater. So I probably was, it was 88. So I would have been grade 8. So, Winona Ryder was probably close to my age, maybe a couple of years older in the movie, but she was the typical emu goth girl who, she was moved to this small town, didn't want to be there. Her mother was an artist and some with very avant-garde sculptures, which, is even more than I would normally create. But I fell in love with the movie. It was just one of those things. It was so different than anything that was out mainstream. And yeah, the art direction, anything by Tim Burton is great. Danny Elfman, the music, like that theme song, like it's just, yeah, I don't know. It just hit all these high points when you're sort of, entering into teenagehood as, an artistic soul. And I did watch the sequel. I have to say it was nostalgic, but not the same. Didn't have the same impact. But yeah, I could rewatch. I have made my kids watch Beetlejuice with me, and they kind of look at me. It's like, really? This was your favorite movie? I'm like, well, maybe you had to be there.
How do you feel about telling people you're unusual? I have a different way of saying it about myself, but go ahead. How do you tell people that? Do you actually quote it in real life, Lexi, or is it just for the show today?
No, it's definitely, I always, it's, the scientists don't understand the art part and the artists don't understand the science part. So you're neither fish nor fowl, basically. So it's trying to, I can step very easily into both of those worlds, but trying to get the tribes from either side to understand. Yeah, it's a lot of translation. So that's, yeah. And people find it unusual that I have both of those passions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find it intriguing. It's interesting. I am an early woman in tech. I don't know if anybody can relate to that, but I was a programmer analyst back in the day. I was programming in COBOL on a Xerox Six Sigma 5, CP5, Sigma 6 CP5. Oh, all those letters and numbers. Back in the day, and I was key punching my cards and carrying them around in a box, and it was a mainframe computer, and we didn't even have a terminal to enter the code in. And back in those days, women, girls were all okay in tech. There were no, it's a boy's world, it's a man's world. And when I already had a bachelor's degree in psychology, magna cum laude, I have to say that. It used to matter. I don't think it does anymore today. And I needed something to do. I was a young divorcee living in the state of Oregon, 3,000 miles from where I grew up in New York. And I had 2 kids to support. And I said goodbye to my husband. He wasn't working and he was a dreamer and going to do his thing in Seattle. And I needed to work. So I went back to school and took 2 years at a community college. My graduate school was a community college, which people didn't understand. It's like, you have a bachelor's degree. Where's the MA? Where's the PhD? No, it's 2 associate's degrees. And they hired me right out of school, but I loved what I did. But Lexi, I'll tell you, there was a creativity to looking at a blank piece of paper. And I would get a phone call from a man named Alan. He'd say, okay, get out your ruler, Bonnie, take a piece of legal paper, draw a line across and down and 12 columns down and 3 rows down, 3 columns. And he'd say, you're going to code this report. And it's going to be for the community college reporting system for the whole state of Oregon. He said, you're going to create the program that's going to put this report out. And so the creativity was, I knew COBOL, and then eventually it was PL1 and other languages. But the creativity was, where do I start? How do I get to the endpoint? What does my code look like? What is the language I'm going to use? How does my syntax work? And what am I going to do with that blank piece of paper and make the report come out of the computer? And there was a creativity involved in it. It wasn't just numbers. Oh, you have to be good in math to be a programmer. No, you didn't. You had to be logical and you had to think things through. Anyway, so back in those days, half of the people in my class, we had degrees. People who had gone to architecture school and didn't like it and dropped out, Lexi. And we had people who went to medical school and didn't like it, and people who went to law school and didn't like it. And I had a degree in psychology, and we were just coming together and saying, what is this thing called computers? It sounds very interesting. I think I'd like to try it. and we all graduated and got our degrees. It was quite an interesting time to be, and I didn't know I was an early woman in tech until I was asked to be the opening speaker for Women's International Women's Day, March 8th, 2023, by the group called Women in Big Data. And they asked me to come, and I showed them what a mainframe computer looked like, and I showed them what a key punch machine looked like, and I showed them what a computer room looked like, and they said, "What planet are you on?" And I said, "I predate all of you, and I was one of those women who took a chance on getting into the tech field when nobody really knew what it was all about." So anyway, I just wanted to share that all with you. I think it's a fun story to tell. So we've all been breaking down barriers and walls, and today it's like, why aren't there more women in STEM, Lexi? Well, back when I was coming through, anybody could do that. And it wasn't, I don't know when the barriers went up and the glass ceiling went up, but it certainly wasn't back in those days. Ladies, I'm going to go to your creativity statement. We're almost out of time. My goodness gracious. I'm going to do one statement for, you know what? I've got everything here. You don't have to find anything. Paula, I'm going to read one of your statements and take about 2 minutes to explain it. And then I'm going to ask Lexi and Melody to comment, to react, and see if it means anything to them. So Paula says, "I follow my passions and my dreams and overcome obstacles. I founded a startup in Israel called boomersurf.com to help boomers with technology. Couldn't get funding, gonna shut it down. It's still on my LinkedIn page, but the fact that you're a creative entrepreneur, that's what intrigued me." Paula, why don't you take 2 minutes, tell us about this, and then we'll see what Melody and Lexi have to say. Go ahead, Melody.
Well,
Go
it's
ahead,
very
Paula.
interesting. In 1995, I was at the driving range, and they asked me if for my work, and I also was making golf clubs and ordering stuff. And they said, "Do you want a computer?" And it had the internet, 1995. And I didn't even know what the internet was or about until my 13-year-old, who's now probably listening to all this, was he figured out, he knew what the computer was about, and he taught me. But in any case, what I found was it was so interesting to be able to be there with the computer and to understand all the stuff that when I came back to the United States, I came back, I had to go back 2 years later. And then I was, dating online, and I was investing online, and I was communicating on Skype and all this other stuff. And people thought, wow, wow, you're way ahead. And I was teaching people. And all of a sudden I realized most people my age had no clue what I was doing. They said, "You can't do that. You can't be talking for free onto Skype, and you can't be doing." And all my friends and my relatives, they would, "Can you help me? Can you help me? Can you help me?" And when I went to my cousin on the way back to Israel, and I heard the screaming inside, or the grandson, "You don't understand, you don't understand." And she got off the phone. She says, "Paula, if I don't learn how to do this Facebook stuff and this other stuff, I'm going to lose touch with my grandchildren." And on that note, I went back to Israel, and in the Five Towns, which is the area where I'm living in, it's English speaking. And they said, "People who have an idea for startups, especially women, apply." We're looking, and I was 60 already by then. And so I applied. One person had to be from outside the country. It was a Vahim thing for making it equal for us foreigners versus the Israeli people who always have the nice connections from the army, etc., with all the geniuses. And so I applied, and I had a young partner that I found, which was fantastic. He was, terrific with the technology. And I applied, and I got accepted. And so I was helping people, and my genius guy figured out how to do it on, with the coding and everything. We have a patent on this, walking people through their tasks. But in any case, we went to the top office, Herzog's office, and when I was trying to raise money, and the guy said, "Wow, I love what you're doing." He says, "Be like Nike and just do it, because as a woman founder and CEO, you're not going to get any funding." And my partner, who was very pro-women, and we were listening to this, and we're up there in our caviar room with the top people of the Herzog law firm, and listening to this, he couldn't believe it. But sure enough, it was just almost impossible. And this went on for a long time. And then finally, I've just kind of, and then I did it online with on an app. And again, the founding, I mean, raising money was basically a very big issue of me being able to support the kids that I was hiring, which were, you know, wonderful, brilliant kids, but it didn't get off the ground, and so it's still sitting there, and I haven't found, you know, the money, so I'm having to unwind it
Well,
because it's
maybe you can send this. I'm going to send you the links to this show, and maybe you send it out and take this clip, and maybe you'll get some people after this. I don't know. Miracles can happen. We're going to say goodbye to Voice America Empowerment YouTube in about 2 minutes. Jordan is going to end us there, but we're going to continue. Ladies, can you stay around with me for a little while longer? Okay, Lexi, your husband's
I'm
birthday,
good.
but he's okay. Melody, you can stick around for a little
We're
while.
good. Yeah.
Paula,
we're
it's
having a good
midnight.
time.
Paula, you going to stay
All
awake
right.
for me? Okay.
Oh, yeah,
All right.
I'm
Then
awake.
let's just say bye-bye, Voice America Empowerment. Jordan, we're saying goodbye to you. He's got 2 minutes to go, and you can just end this. And Jordan, thank you very much, and I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and we're just going to keep going. So, okay, so now that